Hey, welcome to 209coach.com. I want to do a video for you today specifically about the hips and more specifically the hip thrust. And I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that. But the hips are a very important part of the swing where a lot of times coaches, they do focus mainly on the upper body, not really focusing much on the lower body. Now, I believe the upper body is just as important as the lower body. In other words, if you have a very good lower body working in your swing, but you don't have a good upper body, you're going to probably have power, but you're not going to have as much power if you can get the upper body and the lower body working together. So I'm going to mainly focus on the lower body, but I am going to get into a little bit of the upper body because that is going to help you to have a very, very strong hip thrust in your swing, and it's going to help you to execute this particular swing or this particular drill very effectively, okay? Now, here we have Elly Cruz, okay? And he's just just has so much power. And I want to kind of show you what's going on right here. And this is really important because a lot of times if you haven't had any kind of instruction, you really don't know where to begin. And the first thing I would like to just share with you guys out there, if you are not familiar with hitting mechanics, you really want to get most of your weight, 100% of your weight on your back leg. Now, I tell my students to kind of start right here, right now at this stage of the swing. You can see here that he pretty much has 100% of his weight on his back leg, okay? So in other words, he pretty much starts right here and then he shifts back. Now, there are a lot of players in the major leagues now that pretty much start right here. You see players like Cody Bellinger. You see other players like Harry Carpenter. A handful of others that pretty much start right there. And from here, they pretty much just start their swing, which I believe is a very effective way to hit. Again, it's a very effective way to hit because you're minimizing movements. If you're going back right here, a lot of times your timing is compromised a bit. So anyway, what I would recommend for you to do is pretty much just start here where Elly is right here. This is just a really good place to start. Now, if you watch what's going on right here, this is real important as well. Notice how he has he has a lot of flexion in his arms from the setup to the gather. It pretty much looks almost identical. In other words, there's nothing really going on with the upper body right here, and all he's basically doing is shifting his weight onto his back leg. Now watch what's going on right here, okay? This is crucial. Notice how his back pocket, you can see right here from the stripe on the front of his front leg right there, you can see now you're able to see it a little bit more because what he's doing is he's getting his back pocket to immediately coil towards the pitcher. Now this is going to be one big component of you getting a tremendous hip thrust, to getting a lot of power and coil in your lower body. So basically what I want you to do, whether you start here or whether you start here, immediately I want you're at the apex of the gather or sooner, I want your back pocket to work towards the pitcher. Okay, this is what you're doing as you're getting to toe touch. You're getting that back pocket to really coil against get your back leg loaded up, your back hip. You should feel like there's a lot of coil right here, okay? Now, secondly, what I want you to do, you can see here what Elly's doing here. Watch what he's doing with his upper body as he's moving forward. The back elbow works back and behind him, back and behind him. Now, if you watch my videos, I talk about this a lot. Now, what I want you to do is with the top hand, as you're moving forward, I kind of want you to feel like your top hand is kind of pulling behind your ear and you're looking at yourself hopefully in a mirror, and your back elbow is working back and behind you where you kind of have this kind of shoulder to elbow look. Okay, your belt buckle should be pointing more in this direction, not direct opposite side batter's box view. This right here is a very, very just fundamentally solid elite toe touch right here, okay? He has the pullback on the upper body and he has the lower body coil. Now what I want you to do here, this is what I want you to do for the drill. What I want you to do is once you get to toe touch, all I want you to do is just keep Maintain the pullback, okay? You're not doing anything right now. You're not even swinging or anything right now. You're just working on this drill. I want you to feel like someone is really thrusting you in your hip, in your back hip, okay? It's almost like somebody just kind of just tailboned you and hit you right here. And just imagine somebody just pushing you right here as you're trying to stay back, okay? So while you're feeling this, I want you again to feel like your top hand is still pulling back. You should feel like your top hand is still pulling back kind of in this direction behind your ear. That's what you want to feel. You want to feel that pullback and maintain the pullback as you're feeling the hip thrust going right here. Now, if you do this correctly, okay, what you should feel is as your hip thrust, you want to feel like your hip thrust is going in this manner, okay? In other words, you're tilting or hip thrusting your hips to they're almost like a 45-degree angle. In other words, you don't want to do what a lot of players do is they get to toe touch or they get to heel plant and they start kind of getting into a rotational kind of a swing with their hips, okay? You do not want to get rotational with this hip thrust drill. As you get to toe touch, immediately I want you to feel like your hips are thrusting kind of in an upward manner like this, okay, as you're pulling back. And if you do this correctly, what should occur is this. Now watch what he's doing right here. Now watch his hips. Watch what's going on right here, and you're going to see this pretty clearly right here. As he gets into his swing, you're going to see that his hips are kind of like thrusting. You see that how his upper body's staying back? The reason his hands stay back right here and the reason why he's able to still keep a pretty high elbow at this stage of the swing is because he's applying and maintaining the pullback. Now again, watch the hip thrust right here. This is crucial because a lot of times players, coaches, they just overlook how this hip thrust is so crucial. Now watch what's going on right here. Notice how as he's going right here, how his hips are thrusting forward and his hands stay back, okay? Now, by doing this, what happens is the bat will start to shallow behind you. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to really get that pullback going. Feel like the pullback is still going very deep into your swing. And I want you to feel like, again, like your hips are thrusting up or upward, like at about a 45-degree angle. And just keep doing this. And I promise you, if you do this correctly, you will see that your hands will drop behind you just like you see here in this swing right here. Now, this right here is what the best players in the world do. This is why their bat speed is behind them so quickly and with so much power. With the hip thrust and the pullback, okay, the hip thrust and the pullback. I cannot emphasize this enough. When you start getting into this hip thrust, I want your hips, I want everything to work this way, okay? I really want you to focus on that. I don't want it to be rotational. I want you to feel like you're kind of hip throwing your hips, and I want you to feel like you're keeping your hands back, okay? This is what I want you to feel, like you're keeping your hands back, and the only way that can occur is if you are applying the pullback, just like what this player is doing right here. Cruz is just doing a beautiful job of doing that, okay? Now, again, this drill right here is just going to teach you to initiate your swing very quickly and with a lot of power, where you're going to get that bat to go behind you very quickly and with a lot of power. I hope you like this video. Please try it and send me any comments if you have any questions. And please subscribe to my channel and give me a like. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you so much.